we're going to implement SAP R3 system, ECC system. So, wherein they will be having a different functional modules along with the ABAP and basis. So, once Nike people implement R3 implementation is done in the Nike environment, what these Nike people will be doing regularly? Regularly, they were posting day-to-day transactions into SAP R3 system. Regularly, they were posting day-to-day transactions into SAP R3 system. Those transactions could be the sales related, material, production, finance, whatever it is. In the business hours, they are posting day-to-day transactions into SAP R3 system from one end, but from the other end, by using this ABAP, they were trying to design the reports. What was happening? From one end, they were posting data, and from the other end, they were trying to design the reports. So, because of the multiple programs are running on the same server, obviously it could be impacting on my server performance. Before 1997, what was happening? Since multiple programs are running on the server, obviously it could be impacting on my server performance. So it means it degrades server performance. So because of the server identity, that will be going to impacting on my ABAP reporting performance. I'm sorry. So when we are trying to design a report by using this ABAP, what they observed it was degrading the reporting performance. It consumes a lot of time. It degrades the query performance when we use ABAP for generating the reports. That is the first problem they have observed it. So finally, what we observed, when we use ABAP for generating the reports in SAP R3 system, it was degrading the reporting performance. That is the first one. Second one is, since they are posting day-to-day transactions into SAP R3 system, the day-to-day transactions is nothing but a detail level transactions about day-to-day operation data. Since SAP R3 will be going to maintain the day-to-day operation data, when you are trying to design a report by using this ABAP on top of the detail level data, obviously they could be able to generate only the detail level reporting. It means ABAP was not supporting much of analysis. ABAP was not supporting much of analysis. That is the second one. And third one is, for generating reports by using this ABAP, we need to write a lot of coding parts. Since it is a pure programming language, so we need to write a lot of coding stuff. So by considering all these basic factors, SAP people designed this business warehouse in 1997. By considering all these basic factors, SAP people designed this business warehouse in 1997. So once they implement this SAP BW system, for example, Nike has implemented both SAP R3 and BW system. Once these two systems are ready, so what, as I told you, in the business hours they are posting data into SAP R3 system, mostly in the non-business hours. Mostly in the non-business hours, by scheduling some background jobs, the data would be updating from R3 to BW system. The data would be updating from R3 to BW system. Like while updating data from R3 to BW, R3 level it was in a detail level transactions. Once the data has been updated into BW, the BW level, the data will be going to aggregated. So based on the BW functionality, the data will be going to summarize. So since the BW will be going to maintain the summarized data, when you're trying to design a report on the top of the aggregated data, obviously the query performance could be much more faster. That will be the first advantage. Second advantage is, for generating the reports at BW level, we have an integrated reporting tool called as BEX tool. We have a separate reporting tool called as BEX tool, Business Explorer. It's a front-end reporting tool where you will be having a lot of query elements which could help you out to design your analytical reports. Like when you want to apply any conditions, exceptions, calculations, structures, variables, filter, restrictions, everything will be available in the form of objects. You just make use of those objects to design your analytical reports. That will be the second advantage. The third one is 90% of the BW concept could be the configuration part only, navigation part only. Only the 5 to 10% ABAP coding will be there. That too, when you want to implement any new business projects or when you want to do Any sort of enhancements, we need to write some ABAP exits. Otherwise, remaining stuff is complete navigation part only. So by considering all these basic factors, SAP people designed this business warehouse in 1997. This is what exactly basic importance of the BWBI. So with respect to the SAP. So that is the reason they have released the version, the BW 1997. By the time they released the version called as BW 2.1c, later on 2.0b, 3.1c, 3.0b till 3.5, they were calling it as business warehouse, BIW, business information warehouse. So after that they have released a version called as 7.0, right from the version 7.0, we are calling it as business intelligence. That is what exactly basic importance of the BWBI with respect to the SAP. And coming to this concept of this BW, so we know SAP R3 was developed based on the ERP concept, but the BW was developed based on the data warehousing concept. So what do you mean by data warehouse? Data warehouse, like warehouse is a place where we store the data, is nothing but data warehousing. But what is the basic concept of this data warehousing? So to discuss about the concept of this data warehousing, take a simple example. Assume that I have some X business in which I just want to prepare a budget for the forecasting year. I have some X business in year and I just want to prepare a budget for my forecasting year. Here, look at this, 2013 is my forecasting year. So in general, in a business, when I want to prepare a budget for the next year, obviously we will be going to consider the history of the previous year's budgets, right? So that is the reason I am going to use 2010, 11 and 12 years budget data to design my 2013 budget. I am going to use 2010, 11 and 12 years budget data to design my 13 budget. So we are ready to use these previous year's data, but we cannot make sure that all these 3 years data was maintained in the same place. Probably 2010 data would be maintained in some other system, 2011 data would be maintained in some other system, and 2012 data also. But if all these 3 years data to design my 2013 budget, what we need to do? We need to get all these 3 years data into one place, right? So to get all these 3 years data into one place, obviously you must be maintaining some objects to store this respective year's data, right? You must be maintaining some target positions to hold this respective year's data. So that is the reason I am going to design some objects here based on the source data. But in data warehousing, the creation, customization or configuration of any objects is called as modeling. The modeling is the area where we will be going to design the complete data model based on the source data. This stage in data warehousing. So this is the data model. So while designing this data model based on the source data, we will be going to create or customize some objects. That is what exactly the modeling. And once you done this model, we need to load data from different sources into the respective objects, right? Like pulling data from different sources into the respective objects is called as extraction, data extraction. This will be the second stage. By doing this data extraction, finally we got all these 3 years data into one place, so that we can easily compare the data now. So what do you mean by comparison? Comparison is nothing but analysis. So what means, where we do the analysis, generally the analysis will be done at reporting level. Obviously when you do the analysis for reporting level, you will be getting a budget for 2013. So finally what we understand here, the data warehousing has three areas. One is modeling, extraction and reporting. Like based on the source data, first we need to design the data model and load the data. On the top of the data, generating the reports. The same concept which has been implemented in our SAP BW. Here what I told you, in the business hours, they are posting data into SAP R3. Most in the non-business hours, the data would be updating into BW. So before updating data from R3 to BW, according to the source data, we need to design the data model right here. That we call it as modeling. For example, when you want to load the sales data, we need to design the sales data model that we call as a modeling. Loading data from R3 to BW after the model that we call as an extraction. And the top of the data, generating the reports. This is what exactly the BWBI work. So it means as a BA consultant, he will be going to involve either in a modeling, extraction or reporting environment. So this is what exactly the day-to-day activities of SAP BI consultant's job. Okay, clear as of now, Srini?
Yes, absolutely.
Fine. So coming to this architecture of this BW. First, okay, let me finish this architecture and then we'll go to the business objects. So this architecture will be having 3 layers. The source system, the bottom layer we call it as a source system layer. Middle layer will be the BW server, and the top of that reporting environment. The source system, what is the source layer? Here what I told you, SAP R3 will be the source to this BW. The BW will be going to support not only SAP R3 data. These are the sources which supports our BW. We can extract data from a flat file. We can extract data from other external databases. Even extracting data from non-SAP ETL providers. Within the BW, we can update data from one info provider to another info provider. Most of the data coming from the SAP CRM and ECC systems. And when you want to access the multidimensional source data, we use UD Connect. When you want to access XML sort of data, we use web services like that. These are the sources which supports our BW. So the source can be either SAP or a non-SAP or other third-party sources data. So generally in a BWBI environment, when you are trying to access data from any source into BI, initially the data will be going to stage into one intermediate staging area that we call it as PSA. PSA in this diagram they have not mentioned. I will show you in another diagram. PSA means persistent staging area. When you are trying to load data from any source, initially the data will be going to maintain in, the data will be going to stage at PSA, which maintains the same format of source system data. Like unchangeable source data will be going to maintain at PSA. So from this PSA, according to the BWBI compatibility, according to the business logic, according to the client requirement, the data will be going to transform. The data will be going to transform and finally updates into the final data manager that we call it as InfoCube. So generally on the top of the InfoCube data, we are going to design a report, Business Explorer. So because the InfoCube
are usually the DSOs.
I'll tell you. Okay. I'll come to that point. Okay. So most of the data, generally on the top of the InfoCube, we are going to design the BEX reports because the InfoCube will be going to maintain the aggregated information. With more of history, the aggregated information will be going to maintain it in InfoCube. So between the PSA and InfoCube, we will be having one more optional component, staging engine, we can say. We'll be having one more staging engine that we call it as ODS, Operational Data Store. In BW, we call it as ODS. In BI, we call it as DSO, Data Store Object. The functionality is same. So what is the basic, based on the requirement, based on the necessity, we use this DSO in between the PSA and InfoCube because the DSO will be going to maintain the detail level information. The cube will be going to maintain the aggregated information. Okay. The metadata repository where it maintains all the objects and the data information. So to connect these 3 layers, we are going to use the BAPIS in the interface, BAPIS in the backend, Business Application Programming Interface. So this is the BEX environment. Whenever we execute a BEX query, according to the query request, the OLAP processor gets data from data manager and sends to the report. According to the BEX query request, the OLAP processor gets data from data manager and sends to the report. That is what exactly the basic importance of the OLAP processor, online analytical process. Generally our BW system we call it as OLAP system, but SAP R3 system we call it as OLTP system, online transactional process, day-to-day transactions. So look at this. This is an operational environment. This will be the decision support environment. Here the detailed transaction data will be there, but here the data is often summarized. The current data with minimal history, like 1 to or maximum 6 months or 1 year data will be going to stage at OLTP, but OLAP level comprehensive history required, like years together data will be available for generating the reports. Then changes with business events like insert, update and delete is possible at OLTP, but whereas OLAP level only read only data. Mostly changes will be fixed to specific point of time. This is what the basic difference between OLTP and OLAP system. So finally what we observe here, we are extracting data from source, maintaining some transformations, and finally updates into InfoCube, right? That process we call it as ETL process. ETL process. Extraction, transformation, and loading in business intelligence. So look at this here. From any source, loads into PSA. From PSA to data warehouse, this is InfoCube. Between the PSA data warehouse, we have ODS, that is DSO. On the top of the DSO also we can access the data. Otherwise, send data into InfoCube. When you want to update data from one InfoCube to another InfoCube, that functionality we call it a data mart status. On the top of that, we will be going to access the data. This is what the ETL process. So what is it? It is a process of taking raw data from source system, applying transformations rules to it, and loading it in a info provider. This is what exactly the ETL process. So look at this. This is the one. From any source to PSA. So to load data into PSA, obviously you must be having a PSA table, right? According to the source data, how the PSA table will be going to generate? So to generate a PSA table, obviously you must be maintaining the data source picture. The data source is an area where we will be going to browse the path of the source data. According to the source data fields, we are going to maintain the BA fields. So that structure creation will be done at data source level. So the moment you activate the data source, the PSA tables automatically it gets generated. Based on the data source structure and source system, the PSA tables will be going to generate. It means the data source and PSA will be in one area. Rather we can say the PSA will be the inbound to the data source. So once we generate the PSA table to load data from any source to PSA, we are going to schedule the scheduler called as info package. And to update data from PSA to InfoCube, we are going to maintain the transformation. The transformation is the area where we will be going to map the data source fields to InfoCube fields. So wherein we can implement any sort of business logic. Here the transformation plays the vital role here. Any sort of business logic we can implement. Based on the business logic, the data will be going to refine and finally updates into InfoCube by scheduling the other scheduler called as DTP, data transfer process. This is what the basic SAP BI flow. So look at this, what is source system and all these objects. What is source system? Source system is any system available to BI for data extraction. Like when you want to access SAP ECC data, CRM data, Oracle data, so they must be having some separate source systems. For example, when you want to access the relational sources data, like IBM DB2 Teradata, we use the DB Connect. When you want to access the multi-dimensional sources data, like Hyperion sort of data, we use UD Connect. Want to access SAP ECC or CRM data, we use SAP source. When you want to access data from a flat file, we use file interface. Access data from XML, we use web services, like that. Based on the source data, you will be going to maintain the source systems. So with the help of the source systems, initially the data will be going to stage at PSA. The PSA will be in data source. So what do you mean by data source here? The data source are BI objects used to extract and stage data from source systems. Basically, it contains the number of logical related fields that are arranged in a flat structure. As I told you, the structure creation will be done at data source level. It contains data. It means the PSA will be in data source, right? It contains data to be transferred into BI. BI is nothing but info cube here. There are two types of data sources. One is transaction data and then master data. This is what exactly the data source. What about the PSA? Persistent staging area. PSA is in a transparent database table in which the request data is stored. The PSA will be going to create based on the data source and source system. PSA created for data source and source system. It represents an initial store in BI in which the request data is saved unchanged from the source system without making any changes. As it is, data will be going to maintain at PSA. So it can be bypassed, but it is not highly unrecommendable. Okay, that is what the PSA. Transformation between the data source and queue. So when you load data from one BI object to further BI object, data is passed through transformation, wherein the transformation process allows to consolidate, cleanse and integrate data. Basically, the transformation converts the fields of the source into the format of the target. Transformation converts the fields of the source into the format of the target by using the different transformation rule types, different routines. We will be going to maintain this transformation. Okay. Here what I told you, it plays the vital role here. By using all these rule types and routines, the data will be going to refine. Coming to the schedulers, info packages, it is mainly used to load data till PSA. Info package is used to load data into PSA from any source using data source structure. The info package level, we are going to maintain some settings where how the data should be going to process from source to till PSA. We will be going to maintain here. The target of the info package is PSA table tied to the specific data source associated with info package. Okay. The DTP. This is that object that controls the actual data flow, where we will be having some filters and update modes. This is very important. How the data will be going to process into info cube with the help of transformation. When you want to load data from from PSA to multiple info cubes, obviously they will be having multiple transformations and DTP. Finally, what it says, info package is object used to request data from source system linked to a data source. But DTP, it is an object used to execute the transformation and load data from PSA to info provider or one info provider to another info provider. This is what exactly the basic ETL process. So finally, what we understand, this is the basic process, right? So coming to this reporting, as I told you, that we have an integrated reporting tool in business intelligence that we call as BEX report, Business Explorer. But even then, why SAP people acquires this business objects? SAP people acquires this business objects. See, comparatively, the Business Explorer, the business objects has much more flexibilities. Lot of flexibilities in business objects, because this is a high-end reporting tool. This is not a single reporting tool. This is a group of flavors, business objects which contains the group of flavors. They will be having more than 10 flavors will be there. But what is the basic importance, advantages of the business objects? If you observe this one, the first point, the first advantage of the business objects is the execution of process is much faster here. execution of processes much faster. It means, see, in SAP BI level, when you want to process the 10 millions of records for generating the reports, obviously it will be going to take minimum 10 to 15 minutes of time. But whereas in business objects level, the source of the data is more than 10 millions of records with 256 columns. The execution of process takes time is less than 3 minutes of time. That much faster execution which will be there in our business objects. That is the first one. Second one is, this is user friendly. User friendly means without having any BWBI environment, we can directly access these BWBI reports through web. Without having any BWBI environment, directly access these BWBI reports through web. For that, we are going to use one of the useful flavor in business objects family that we call it as web intelligence. This is one of the useful flavor in business objects family. And when you want to generate a fully formatted reports, we use the other important flavor that we called as crystals. Like when you want to provide fully formats, like when you want to apply any sort of layout formatting features, headers, footers, inserting images, maintaining fonts, colors, and all this stuff, we can do with the help of this crystal reporting. And we have a dashboards concept in business objects. This also will be acting as one of the small flavor in business objects family. What do you mean by dashboards? It represents data in the form of graphs, charts, and structures. Apart from this dashboards, other important thing is interactive dashboards. When you want to generate the interactive dashboards, we are going to use one of the important flavor, that is Excel sheets. That is one of the flavor in business objects family. And here the source can be anything. Source can be anything means, here generally in BI level, when you want to design this on the top of the flat file data, obviously the data should be loaded into any of the info providers. On the top of the info provider only we can able to generate the batch reports. But whereas in business objects family, even the source of the data is flat file, we can directly design the reports by using the flavor called as BWBI Rich Client. BWBI Rich Client. And when you want to design a BWBI reports by using this Microsoft utilities like MS Word, PowerPoint, or Excel, we can do by using the flavor called as Live Office. So when we install this Live Office patch, whenever you open Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, we can see the Live Office menu here. Directly the source data will be going to maintain in Microsoft utilities. Like this. The maintenance and cost also much cheaper. Maintenance and cost is, see, as I told you, we will be having a more than 10 flavor site. But based on the client business process, based on the client requirement, so the client can able to purchase the individual flavors. Client can able to purchase the individual flavors. For any BWBI implementation, the useful flavors in any implementation is BWBI, crystals, Excel sheets, one designer called as universe. This is the main area in business objects. So based on these sort of advantages, nowadays along with this business explorer, we are using the business objects for generating the reports. This is what the basic information about this business objects. Srini.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, this is what this
How
basic demo
about
for SAP BA.
the support to the mobile devices and tablet devices like iPhone, iPad? Will there be any separate module for those to deliver on those mobile devices?
You mean to say to deliver through SMS also we will be going to send these BWBI reports by using the flavor called as widgets. Widgets. That is one of the small application. One of the small application business objects family.
Okay, I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is what the basic information.
If I have to use the business objects here, what we will have to do is from the DSOs, instead of sending it to that info cube, we have to send information to another database, like build a star schema or data mart or enterprise warehouse and load the data there. On that data mart, we will deploy these business objects,
Exactly.
create the
Exactly, but the yes, but the thing is here, when you are integrating, when you want to load, when you want to extract data from SAP BA to SAP BO, so the sources can be either a cube or a BEX query or a multi-provider.
Okay.
But if you really want to load data from DSO or InfoSet, obviously you must be using the data federator.
Yeah, the reason is there is a reason for that. Some of our clients are huge clients. If they can live with the SAP BI, they don't even go for the business objects. They, of course, business objects, we can write the queries using the BX and use those queries and get the reports generated. But SAP BI itself has a query generator, right? Report generator. So we can directly fire the queries against the info web. Is that info web what we call it?
Info cube.
Yeah, info cube. From that info cube, we can directly fire queries and get the reports done, right?
Yes.
Medium-sized clients, probably that's what they do. But in the recent project, what I did was we have DSOs designed. From DSOs, we use the I think it is federated. We use the data stage. With a SAP plugin, and using the data stage, we loaded the data into the open hubs. No, actually, using the federator, we loaded the data into the open hubs. Like using the federator, we can send the data to any database we want, right? Like DB2 and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, from there we moved the data to Teradata. It's kind of we have several. Probably in my next project, I would like, because at the time I did not have a depth knowledge of SAP BW. So after learning from you, probably my next project, I would like to eliminate a lot of these hops. Basically, each hop is like consuming a lot of time, because we hardly have like probably 6 to 8 hours of non-business hours, something like 9 p.m. to morning 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. or something. We have to considerably reduce these data movement time and report generation time. So that's kind of ideas what we are having. So yeah, I kind of understand the overall architecture, but what I would be looking is in-depth technical skills of SAP BI, and that's exactly what I'm looking. So can I count on you on that one?
Yeah, definitely. See, right from the first regular sessions, we'll be going to discuss only in the practical sessions only.
Okay.
So whatever I speak, I'll be going to show in the practical.
Okay.
I'll be going to show in the system.
Okay.
So complete data flows. My structure, my style of classes is, you look at this. Generally, when you want to do any sort of things, first we will be going to design the data flows like this.
Oh yeah, definitely, I understand. So I have no doubts.
I'll be going to design. I'll be going to design the data flows like this.
Okay.
According to this data flow, I'll be going to maintain the step-by-step process as well. The notepad.
Okay. Like this. And one more thing. So what will you be covering out of this course at the end? What can I count on? Like, can I count on the whole SAP BI system, you know, including all those different areas and the business objects?
See, I'll be going to give the SAP BI schedule, BI content. According to that content, we will be going to do. So after finally, so if you want to, if you want me to show you one basic BO report by using this SAP BI data, I will show you. The BI is in a separate module, BO is a separate module. Please remember.
I totally agree with that. But those are these days. What happens is this SAP BI and BO are tightly coupled. Basically,
yes.
You know, basically once this is once a BI, we designed all these DSOs and all that stuff. Then we federated the data to open hubs, and then we generate the data marts. Then actual BI plays using the BO. There, I may need to design a universe based on the, let's say, for example, if I take the sales data mart or sales star schema, I have to design a universe of like a sales analysis universe. Based on that, you know, once you design the universe, it's pretty much easy. Like you can drag and drop any column you want. Designing the universe is a complex thing, right? You understand our different aggregation levels.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, I understand that one.
So, yeah, probably the core reason for this course is definitely SAP BI side. I understand BO is a different module, but at least, you know, a glimpse of it would be nice to have. And also, I'm expecting these federated data movements. Like as I mentioned, we probably may need to load the open. Do you know the Open Hub concept?
Yes, I know the Open Hub concepts. It is mainly used
right.
Send data from other third-party systems, right?
Other third-party systems, and mostly from SAP DSOs, because DSOs are, you already explained it, DSOs contains a transformation, like atomic level of information instead of aggregated data. From that atomic level, what we do is we write an extraction transformation load, ETL, using probably the federated will load as is with the data structures. From there, we transform. So basically, from what I can say is from DSOs, we send it to the InfCube, right? In the InfCube, we design these aggregations and all that stuff. At the same time, we design those things in other ETL tools and send it to a different highly performance servers. Usually, we go with the Teradata or Oracle or DB2.
Okay.
So, so I hope you understand my requirements.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
see, in our SAP BA things, we will be going to use both SAP and non-SAP source. Non-SAP we are going to use the flat files. The SAP we are going to use the SAP ECC system as a source.
Right. Okay. So, okay. If you don't mind, can you send me the topics that you will be covering?
Sure.
You will be
definitely.
Covering.
I'll just send it to the Ganesh. Ganesh will definitely update you.
Okay, so that I will have an idea and probably.
Yeah, really, definitely that should be having right.
And one more thing is just up front. You will be sharing these documents with me once I pay my
Yes,
payment.
whatever the documents which I'm preparing, I'll be going to send all the documents every day.
Okay, because Ganesh is my old client. I worked with him earlier, so we know each other. That's why.
Okay.
So we work on that.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fine, good.
So anything else for today? That's pretty much it.
Yes, that's okay. That's fine for today.
Okay. Okay. Then let me talk to one more thing. Yeah, one more thing.
Ganesh,
Before I go. The
tell me.
thing is I have a travel plan to India. I already told him like from July 25th to August 15th, I will be traveling to India. So when you're located in Hyderabad, right? I will be there in Hyderabad for a while.
Yes,
but
yes.
Sometimes I may not be able to attend the classes because are you Telugu, right? Hello.
Yes. Teluganandi.
Okay. So India వచ్చినప్పుడు హడావుడి ఉంటది కదా బేసిక్ గా అటు
అర్థమైందండి. అదేం పెద్ద ప్రాబ్లం కాదండి.
ఓకే
కొంచెం
మనం ఫ్లెక్సిబుల్ గా ఉండటం పాసిబుల్ అవుతుంది కదా. అంటే ఇప్పుడు సపోజ్ నేను 25th వరకు రెగ్యులర్ క్లాసెస్ అటెండ్ అయ్యే తర్వాత ట్రావెలింగ్ లో ఉన్నప్పుడు కానీ సో అలా మీకేం ప్రాబ్లం ఉండదు కదా అని.
ఏం లేదండి, ఏం ప్రాబ్లం ఏం కాదు.
ఓకే,
మీరు ఏం మిస్ కారు.
నేను డెఫినెట్ గా మిస్ అయ్యేది ఏమి ఉండదు.
నాకేం ప్రాబ్లం కాదులేండి, పర్వాలేదు. ఐ కెన్ స్కెడ్యూల్ ఇట్.
ఓకే,
నేను ఆర్గనైజ్ చేసుకుంటాను ఏం చేయాలన్నది.
on the other hand, I'm flexible too. Like weekend మీకు ఖాళీగా ఉండి ఓకే శ్రీనివాస్ నేను ఈ రోజు 4 గంటలు చెప్తాను అంటే that's fine. I can if I have time I can definitely sit with you and go through those continuous.
చూద్దామండి, ఇద్దరికి ఫ్లెక్సిబుల్ టైం ఏదైనా ఉంటే కనుక. జనరల్ గా నేను బిజీగానే ఉంటాను. చూద్దాం, సాటర్డే సండే ఏమైనా ఉంటే కనుక అది ఆప్షనల్ కింద పెట్టుకుందాం.